Hello everyone, this is the History Spectrum channel. In this video, we will be discussing Arthur, King of the Knights of the Round Table, and some surprising stories about King Arthur, so be sure to stay tuned for the end. The birth of King Arthur and the legend of the sword Excalibur. King Arthur is considered a predestined hero, and his birth is described in some sources as having been announced by a special prophecy. It is said that even before he was born, there was a prophecy that he would become a great king, and that this shaped his destiny. King Arthur is said to have been destined by the prophecy, and to have been a hero with a special origin. Excalibur was not just a sword, but a symbol of a true king. The sword was buried in stone, and only Arthur could pull it out, which was considered proof that he was the true king. Many noblemen and brave men tried to pull it out, but only Arthur succeeded, and his legitimacy as king was recognized. The sword of Excalibur solidified Arthur's kingship and demonstrated his authority throughout the country. King Arthur overcame many hardships at a young age to become a great king. He faced many difficulties and enemies, carrying heavy responsibilities. Despite his inexperience, through political maneuvering, battlefield challenges, and personal trials, he grew into a wise and strong leader. King Arthur overcame the challenges of youth and inexperience to establish himself as a legendary king. The formation and oath of the Knights of the Round Table. The creation of the Round Table symbolized a new era of equality and unity. King Arthur believed that all knights should be equal, so he created the Round Table where everyone could sit second to the king. The Camelot Oath and the creation of the Round Table embody King Arthur's vision of the ideals of equality and unity. Chivalry continues to influence us today as a medieval ideal. Chivalry was embodied by the Knights of the Round Table, focusing on values such as courage, courtesy, and justice. Following this spirit, the knights defended the weak, stood up against injustice, and fought for honor. The ideals and chivalry of the Round Table established the image of the knight as more than a mere warrior, but as a pursuer of noble ideals. Galahad, Lancelot, and Percival are the most famous of the Knights of the Round Table, and their stories have been told for centuries. Each of these knights is known for their exceptional courage, loyalty, and role in the sacred quest. Galahad is known for finding the Holy Grail, Lancelot for his superior warrior skills, and Percival for his purity and symbolism in the Grail quest. These legendary knights embody courage, adventure, and the ideal of chivalry in mythology. Merlin's magic and prophecy. Merlin is the most famous wizard of all time with magical powers. His magic and wisdom are depicted in numerous tales, and play a central role in the story of King Arthur. Merlin's magic and precognition have made him a mysterious and powerful character, who is an integral part of the King Arthur legend. Merlin was a close associate of King Arthur, a soothsayer who guided the future of the king and his kingdom. His wisdom and prophecies influenced important decisions in the kingdom, and helped shape King Arthur's destiny. Merlin is not only a wizard, but an indispensable leader, and a respected soothsayer for King Arthur and Camelot. Merlin's prophecies greatly influenced the fate of Camelot and its inhabitants. Merlin foretold not only the glory days of Camelot, but also the demise of King Arthur, the fate of the Knights of the Round Table, and many other important events. Play an important role in the legend of King Arthur, and are the foundation upon which the glory and destiny of Camelot and its heroes are woven. Queen Guinevere and Lancelot's tragic love affair. The love between Guinevere and Lancelot is one of the forbidden, yet most moving stories of the Middle Ages. Their love represented a betrayal of King Arthur, and their relationship had a profound effect on those around them. Their secret love affair was put on trial at Camelot, casting a dark shadow over their future. And the story of Guinevere and Lancelot symbolizes the eternal conflict between love and loyalty that still moves many people today. Queen Guinevere was deeply conflicted between love and duty. She was torn between her love for Lancelot and her loyalty to King Arthur, and the anguish in her heart made her story even more tragic. Guinevere's struggle between her position as queen and her feelings as a woman is depicted in many poems and stories, and Guinevere's conflict symbolizes the complexity of a heart torn between love and duty, a conflict that many people can relate to. Lancelot waged an intense inner struggle between his loyalty to the king and his love for Guinevere. Although he was Camelot's most distinguished knight, he jeopardized his honor and loyalty through forbidden love. Lancelot ultimately sacrificed his chivalry to save Guinevere, and their fate came to a tragic end. Lancelot's story highlights human nature as it struggles between love and duty, creating a moving drama. The quest for the Holy Grail. The Grail quest is described as one of the greatest adventures of the Middle Ages. The chalice was considered a Christian relic, and its power and mystique attracted knights. In the story of the quest for the Holy Grail, many knights overcome difficulties and dangers in their journey for a noble cause. The beginning of the Grail legend is one of the most fascinating parts of the medieval story, stirring hope and a sense of adventure. Numerous knights embarked on epic expeditions in search of the Holy Grail because of their noble mission. With honor and holy mission in their hearts, the knights took on uncharted lands and trials. Particularly famous were Galahad, Percival, and Bose, all knights with different stories to tell. The knights' expedition in search of the Holy Grail symbolizes a story of their courage, faith, and growth. When the chalice was discovered, it was not just a success but an event with profound consequences. The discovery of the chalice brought about a profound change in faith in the kingdom, and in the destiny of the seekers themselves. Galahad, who was able to find the chalice, was known for his purity and strength of faith, and with the chalice became a legend. The discovery of the chalice is the end of one adventure, but also the beginning of a new story about faith, hope, and the human quest. The twilight of Camelot and the fate of King Arthur. Camelot had come of age, but it soon entered a period of decline. Internal and external problems caused the idealistic kingdom to slowly lose its luster and eventually fall apart. Internal treachery, the love between Lancelot and Guinevere, and external threats contributed greatly to Camelot's weakening. And the story of Camelot's glory and decline remains a symbol of a human society teetering between ideals and reality. The Battle of Camlan, the most violent conflict in the legend of King Arthur, determined the fate of the kingdom. King Arthur himself participated in this battle, facing off against one of his most trusted knights, Mordred. This epic battle resulted in the deaths of many heroes, and the king himself was mortally wounded. The Battle of Camlan is the epic conclusion to the final chapter of the King Arthur legend, and marks the end of the Age of Heroes. King Arthur may have left physically, but his legacy is one that will last forever. His ideals, courage, and pursuit of justice have had a profound impact on future generations, and continue to provide inspiration for numerous stories and works of art. King Arthur's legacy is a story that will live on beyond his death, and the ideals and spirit of the heroic king live on in our hearts and minds today. King Arthur and the Sword Tournament on the Lake. One medieval text tells the story of King Arthur's unusual sword fighting tournament. In this tournament, King Arthur himself hosted and challenged his knights to a sword fight under unusual conditions. The most unique aspect of this tournament is that the battle took place on a small boat on a lake. The knights had to fight while balancing, resulting in many comical falls and unexpected waterfalls. An interesting aspect of this story is that it shows that the king and his knights enjoyed light-hearted diversions and skill competitions, even between serious battles. The anecdote also suggests that King Arthur organized these creative and fun events to bond with his knights, and also to test their skills. How was it? In this article, I explained the legend of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and like this video. History Spectrum.